Hi there, this is Phil Williams with the Global Wisdom Project, and this story, there's actually maybe a couple stories, are about adversity and loss. I guess there are a lot of different kinds of adversity, but this story is about loss and loss of friends. Strangely, I've had a lot of friends of mine or even people I've known pass away. It's just been one of these things that has kind of dotted my life to a certain degree, and certainly I created a very strong sense of my own mortality. I mean, starting with when I was between second and third grade, two friends of mine, good friends of mine, passed away. One from childhood leukemia, and one in a plane crash, a Cessna plane crash. And that was actually very significant for me in the sense that, well, number one, I was 8 and 9 years old going to two child funerals, which is a special form of pain. I hope nobody ever has to do that. And I remember I was young, but the just excruciating emotion that were in those places is you just never forget. And I remember them as friends still very well. And I remember visiting my friend who had child leukemia in the hospital with my mom, and I remember him being bald, and my other friend who died in a plane crash with his brother and his uncle. I really remember he was obsessed with planes. He really, really wanted to become a pilot. And his whole room was attached with planes, and I just remember that was really cool. But after that, shortly around that time, I think that the emotions were so big, and so I as an 8 and 9 year old, I could not really articulate them. But so I started to write and do a lot of creative writing at that age, and I just really, being able to express myself in any way was really cathartic. I think I went through a lot of even anger. I remember being a kid around that to a certain degree, and growing up through high school. Actually, my senior year, two friends of mine also passed away. One who's my next door neighbor growing up here, he had a heart condition and didn't take his pills, I think was the story, or his heart pills, and was playing tennis and had a heart attack and died. And I was actually coming home from school, I think right around the time it happened, and I parked and I ran down over, and his dad was already there and kind of in a frantic state. I think they were waiting for the ambulance to arrive, and it was very hard to see him there, and they were trying to revive him, resuscitate him, and it didn't work. And he was a great kid. He was a really cool kid, and he was a freshman when I was a senior. And so that was difficult and emotional. And then my senior year, I think later that year, a friend of mine in my senior class died of spinal meningitis. It was just random. It was actually the night I was supposed to have a party at my parents' house. bizarrely, and I found out about it, and actually went around to a lot of our friends or people who thought were his friends to be able to tell them in person. And I remember doing that with my friend Adam, and that was hard. And people came to the house because not everyone knew. And I kind of canceled the party, but everyone kind of was driving up, and I said, "Nah, we're not going to do the party tonight. Just too much." And yeah, that was very difficult. I think leading into college, it was just another form of like what is it that I want to do exactly now, that not with the perspective of, or not with the intent of career or a kind of skill or craft, which are all great and important. For some reason, I just focus on, like, with a perspective of my own mortality. What is it that I want to do as a human being now or in the next year or so? And so I think that dictated why I was interested in history, so I'm gonna study history. And afterwards, it was like, I think it's always kind of dictated my life choices. It wasn't about, if I go to law school, then I can join a law school, a firm, and become a partner someday. Nothing wrong with that. But I just realized that was not, internally to myself what I wanted to do. So that focus on my mortality, that constant focus on my mortality from outside and in, I think definitely dictated a lot of my life choices. And there were others. Should be a really depressing story, macabre. But I think those four up until high school were so relevant and just so impactful for me that it made me realize that to always have a sense of my own mortality, that life is really short, and so do what you want to do, not what anybody else says you should do or you think would make society happy. And it may make you feel good for a little bit, like, oh, I'm doing exactly what it is other people, my expectations. But there will be this knot in your gut that will say, you didn't listen to that voice in your head that said, go start that business, go do that thing, go make that artwork. And that's a really hard voice to listen to, because I think that it's, there's so many other voices around telling you maybe a different thing. So just keep that in mind. Thanks.